Monday, Cinco de Mayo, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, prosumer versus professional. You probably don't want the latter, even if you think you do.
Let's do this. So, for the first time this year, I think it's time to bike to work. So
I bike to work today.
So I go out and I'm like, oh, warm today. Gonna get on my bike, start biking to work. And then I checked the weather before I went to work, and it said like high 50s, low 60s. And I'm like, that's warm enough.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm biking. I get to the old bridge. And
Which bridge? The Queensboro?
59th, yeah.
All right.
The only bridge I can take to work. So, and the wind starts going whoosh. And I'm like, what the fuck?
The wind was strong enough when I hit the Williamsburg Bridge this morning to catch my new helmet and like kind of pull my head to the side.
The wind was so strong that when I was going downhill, I had to pedal to go. That's how strong it was.
How strong was that wind?
Too strong. Right? But meanwhile, I had all checked when I checked that weather and saw high 50s, low 60s. You know what it said wind-wise? 3-mile-an-hour wind from the north.
Yeah, did it not say 30-mile-an-hour gusts?
It did not say that. It was horse shit, that weather.
See, you know what? I was fine.
That anemometer, dysfunctional.
While
Throw
that wind
shit out.
was notable, it was not in any way impinging.
I guess I made it to work. It was not pleasant.
I also have a much longer ride than you, so by the time I get to that point, I'm in that mode of just fuck it, just pedaling. I mean, it takes me about a half hour to get to work on a bike.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
Mostly the thing is, you know, it takes me like 15 minutes to get to Manhattan. And then it takes me 15 minutes to cross town on 49th Street because for the past, I've been biking to work since 2009, okay? In all 4 of those years, well, 9, 10, well, I guess 10. So 10, 11, 12, wow, a lot of years. Every single year, as long as I've been biking to work, the left lane of 49th Street has had permanent construction on like 2 blocks.
Wow, you're right now that I think about it.
It's always been there all the time.
Maybe they just forgot.
Right. There's like some new buses are deciding to stop somewhere. So like I was behind a bus. I couldn't get through the spots in between.
Yeah.
It's a red light. It's a green light. The bus zooms across the intersection, immediately stops blocking the entire right lane as soon as it gets through the intersection. And there was like 3 buses in front of it. And I'm like, well, left lane gone, right lane gone. And now on top of all that, right, they decided to repave 49th Street, so it's all ground the fuck up.
Might I suggest a different street?
All right, so what, should I use 51st Street
Sure.
or 47th Street?
51st, it's fine. I've used it.
I'm going to try it tomorrow. We'll see.
Go to 55th or 58th Street. 57th, I forget.
57th is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It's full of cars and shit. But yeah, 49th Street. It's not, and then the part that's not all ground up, the deadliest potholes imaginable. Like, there was one that was like a foot deep.
Oh, there's a pothole on near Manhattan Avenue in Brooklyn that if you don't notice it and you hit it in a bike and you don't have large tires, you're
You'll
just fucked.
die, yeah.
You're just fucked.
There's
Your
like
tire
2
will
on
go in
Crescent.
and lock.
Crescent's got 2. One
Yeah.
farther up north and one near you.
Yeah, I noticed that when I biked to your
If
place.
we call 311, they're supposed to fix it, but
Have you called 311?
I haven't.
Well, that's why they haven't fixed it. They're
We'll
waiting
have
for you to call.
I'm not going to stop my bike, call 311 every time there's a pothole.
All
I
right,
have to
so
get to work.
So since we're talking, I guess this show's about bikes now. On my way home, because I was wearing glass, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of everyone who does something egregious, and like from
You're
now
not gonna
on,
be able to push the button in time.
I was like, maybe I'll get egregious photos. And I'll make a blog that's like shitheads in New York. Yeah, so I got an archive of 40-something shitheads just from my commute home.
In like 10 minutes.
It was like 15 or 16 people who were just biking the wrong way on a one-way bike lane. 2 of these motherfuckers, the street had a bike lane going the right way on the same street.
Dude, I could have given you 10 red light runners, right, just on First Avenue.
I saw some teenage shithead actually just ram into an old lady. I stopped, and she seemed okay, though she didn't speak English, and he was yelling at me like he wanted to start a fight with me. That was all today. It was awesome. Also, I had a cab honk at me and then swerve into the left lane to get around me, almost hitting another cab, who then started honking at him, and then they got stuck stopping traffic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
He was in a hurry.
Yeah, I guess he had to be somewhere. So yeah, I guess there's news. It's Monday.
All right, so it's sort of a 2 Twitter news, right? So Twitter news number 1 is the one that people probably care about more, And that's that Twitter is considering adding a feature that I really want, which is the mute feature, whereby...
No. The fact that you even say it's a feature you want already leads into what I have to say
Right.
about this.
Where you can follow someone, but you can mute them so you don't see their tweets. Right?
Honestly, that already belies an issue with friendship and social networks. The very fact that you need to be able to be following someone, yet do not actually want to see what they have to say, means that you don't want to be following them, but are under some sort of obligation to follow them.
Yeah,
Like if you follow your grandma and you don't want to see all the racist stuff.
Now, hold on. I knew that you would go there because that is also the first thing I thought of.
And I knew, because of the way you phrased this, that you were leading me there so that you could then redirect. So I now am waiting for your redirection.
That is correct. So, you are correct, and I 100% agree with you. If you're following someone you don't actually want to see their tweets, just fucking unfollow them. And if they notice that or get upset by it, who gives a shit?
Well,
right?
hopefully they'll stop talking to you and then you win.
Maybe. The reason to mute someone is temporary muting. For example, so-and-so went somewhere and is tweeting like a fucking nut job because they're at some crazy event and you don't give any fucks, so mute them until tomorrow. That is the feature that I want.
That's not
right?
a bad feature. It
If
has
you
to have a deadline. So
you
set...
just go and click unmute the next day.
I don't know. I would, because then you'll forget. You might as well just unfollow them.
Sure, I'm sure there's a page you can go that will list the people you've muted. I guess you could unfollow someone and follow them again the next day already.
Yep, which is a
right?
better thing.
Maybe. But
I actually still wish I could, within Twitter, very easily see when people follow and unfollow me, because I've noticed that the number of followers, it's not this like steady, slow rise, but it'll fluctuate pretty widely week to week. And I'd really like to see like what things I say cause a bunch of people to unfollow or follow me.
Yeah. The thing I really want is Twitter lists, which exists, but doesn't really exist on mobile. That way I could like categorize everyone.
Yup.
So,
I want you know what I want? I'll follow a lot more people, or at least have a bunch of people in lists that are basically my personal equivalent of total FARC.
Right. So it's like the people that I actually care about every single tweet they tweet, I will have, in the main feed that I'm constantly reading all the time. But like, for say there's someone who tweets about, I don't know, something I kind of care about, maybe like programming stuff that I'm doing at work. It's like I don't want to read their tweets in my main timeline, but I could take all those people, put them in a list,
And then when you're bored,
and then only read that list if I need to read that list, right? And I could be like, I'll add a Twitter in this list. I'd probably read that list constantly, but it would at least be separated from my main feed, right?
Exactly.
But they don't add Twitter lists to the mobile app as far as I know. It's
Like, for example,
it's like only in the web app.
some people probably follow me for my occasional social justice related tweet, and then they're put off by my tweet that's just me saying fuck a whole bunch.
Right. The other thing is that like there are people I'm friends with that are totally cool, and I follow them, and I like to read their tweets.
But
They'll tweet like one gaming thing and like 20 social justice things. And it's like, I do not disagree with you at all in your, things about social justice. I'm 100% with you. But I do not want to read 50 posts about it every day. Why is that all you talk about? I know that it's very important, but it's not so important that I need to read 50 tweets about it when I agree with it every single day. We know.
the only other use I can see for
your tweets
this
aren't solving the problem.
is the situation.
Anyone who's following you is already solved.
All I really want is the ability to, I want your list, like you said. I would like the ability to mute a specific conversation. Because, like maybe like me and Mike Toole will like start half arguing about something.
And I'll reply to just one tweet, and suddenly my name is getting added in every tweet. And it's like, no,
and
stop
then,
it.
And then we keep arguing for like another 4 hours.
I just tossed in one comment. Stop that shit.
Yep. Of course, at the same
stop
time,
adding me to everything.
I kind of like the mechanism design of that. Like, you want to get involved in someone's argument? Well, you're fucking involved now.
See, I'm actually
You
curious.
can't back away.
And that when I reply to a conversation that has a bunch of people in it,
Yep.
I will only at the people who I can tell from the conversation that my comment is relevant to, and will not at the extraneous people. That has the side benefit of giving me some extra characters to work with.
I at everyone, one, out of a misplaced sense of pride for getting my ideas out with increasingly less space available, and two, because I just don't give a shit, and I don't want to think
you are
about.
not courteous.
Nope.
At all.
Nope. Which I think is why.
That is not a mystery.
Which I think is why my
that
Twitter
is not a
followers.
new development.
I am courteous in person.
You are in fact anti-courteous. If someone will tell you, Rim, that is annoying noise. Stop making it. You will make it more.
Woohoo!
And that is That is the that is the way of Rim. If anyone wants to read The Tower of Rim, that's line number 1. If someone is bothered by a thing, do that thing as much as possible.
But you see,
in their
you guys
presence.
have to learn that if you tell me to stop it, I'll do it more. If you don't say anything, I assume it's okay. There's really no way out.
Anyway.
It's Rim's Gambit.
So the second...
It's my Kobayashi Maru.
The second Twitter news...
You don't even know what Kobayashi Maru is, do you?
I've heard of it.
Do you know what it is?
I can't think of it right now.
Okay. When you look it up, you'll laugh a little bit.
Maybe. The second Twitter news is that Amazon is going to let you buy things on Twitter. Now, how the hell does that make sense? I can already link to Amazon.
I can already see that being me accidentally buying a bunch of stuff.
Right. We can already put links to things on Amazon on Twitter, and they get shortened with the Amazon URL shortener, like AMZN.
Now, we know, here's the
whatever.
thing. I want to make a quick. This is something that I hate about every technology discussion forum, site, blog, podcast in the world. And if something like this is announced, and the armchair coder general journalist will be like, but what if I make a link that auto buys something for $1,000 and someone accidentally clicks on it? Obviously, it won't work like that.
Obviously, you're a moron who didn't read what it actually... And the problem is, it really is not that person. It's the person who writes the headline that Amazon lets you buy things on Twitter, which is not true at all. That's what all the headlines say, but that's not actually what they're doing. What they're doing is... If someone tweets a tweet with a link to an item on Amazon, and you reply to that tweet with a hashtag, I forget what the hashtag is, but it's some Amazon checkout hashtag or something, it will then add that item to your cart on Amazon, but it won't check out. And then when you go back to Amazon and look in your cart, that item will be there.
Now,
And that's all they're doing.
that
Is
actually,
not, I don't know how that counts as buying things on Twitter at all.
it's also actually, I think, pretty exploitable.
Maybe, yeah.
So what? I
tweet-
compromise
you
your
tweet
account.
something with the hashtag.
Yes,
and then other people tweet or retweet it, and now that item is in their carts.
Or I compromise your Twitter account and do that to add things to your cart that
And
you
then
might not
and then
notice.
you accidentally check out without looking at your cart and noticing the price is
Which
ridiculously high.
I usually don't look at my cart that much
Okay.
because I add things to it over the course. Like every few weeks, I go to my cart and I'm like, all right, there's a bunch of stuff in here. Check out.
Well, you are exploitable. I
Yeah.
actually look at what I'm buying.
Plus, I would add little things. I'd go for like $2 or $3 things.
I would put my own things into fulfillment by Amazon, right? Then with my own affiliate account, link to them, and then get people to buy them.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a specific Twitter account, Scott Sells, and I'll start selling all the... I'm going to sell a bunch of shit, so maybe I'll do it that way. That'll be interesting.
You want to sell some of my shit?
Only after I sell all my shit.
All right, because I got some floodlights that I really want to get rid of.
I don't know how to sell those on Amazon. I only know how to sell books.
Nah, I'm sure Amazon will take them, but it might cost too much.
Oh, that's all you.
Yeah.
It'd be cheaper to throw them away.
So, in other news, this article really hits the nail on the head. The nail being something I'm pissed off about, and have been for
Rim
a long
is pissed
time.
off about something?
Yeah, this in
For a
particular,
long time?
this issue is
Well,
personal.
why don't you go find that thing that you hate so much, figure out what noises it doesn't like to listen to, and make them at it.
Apparently, what it doesn't like to listen to is, hello, police, someone stole my phone. They're right over there. I can prove it's my phone. Can you go take it back?
Nope.
So I guess that
It's
annoying
weird.
noise.
That's always weirded me out because it's like the police won't go and get your phone when it's right there. But if you're on the street and your phone was literally just stolen like a minute ago and there's a cop who happens to be nearby, they'll start a chase with no problems.
Yep, well, that happened when my bike got stolen the second to last time. I called the police and they were like, when did it get stolen? I was like, in the last 5 minutes tops.
Yep.
And then cop cars rushed over and canvassed the area.
Yep.
But when they didn't find the guy right away, they instead pressured me into they didn't actually want me to file a police report. Because crime statistics.
Exactly.
So here's the deal. Police departments around the U.S. are warning people that we have the technology now. If your Xbox or your iPhone gets stolen, odds are you can use technology to find out what house it's in right now because the people who steal them usually just fucking use them.
Yep.
They just fucking use them because the cops don't do anything.
All the cops will actually do is like take the serial numbers of those objects if they're expensive and give them to pawn shops, and then the legit pawn shops, which I guess if the criminal's really dumb, they'll take it to a legit pawn shop or a GameStop.
If the criminal's smart, he'll just use it as long as he can,
or
because he
sell
won't
it
ever get
to
caught.
a non-legit pawn shop or something.
Just use it
or,
for your phone.
Right? And if that serial number appears, those places are supposed to report it to the police or whatever, and they usually kind of do. If it's
I
legit.
guess.
Yeah.
I don't really interact a lot with pawn
But that's
shops.
really your only hope.
So the police are warning people that even though we have this trivial technology to, oh, my iPhone was stolen and it's at this apartment building. Oh, it's walking down the street. Oh, it's that guy. They're telling us to not confront the people who have them
It
to
is
get them
dangerous
back.
to do so. There's no question about that.
And they're saying you should come to the police. But I know for a fact that the police give zero shits about this.
I think the real solution here is legislative. There needs to be a law that says
the police must investigate.
I think it's the I don't know what you should, something along the lines of the Consumer Detective Act. Like if you have on your own collected sufficient evidence that
I can shoot holes in this idea right now, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah.
I like the idea, but
if you have proved and collected significant evidence,
Scott,
there needs to be like a place where someone whose job it is to look at the evidence you brought.
Officer Scott, I've collected significant evidence that aliens stole my cell phone.
Well,
Followed by literally thousands of pages of documentation.
and your evidence is bullshit. That's why you have to take it to a person
my
to
evidence is bullshit. So everyone's evidence
You
is
just
bullshit.
take it to this person who looks at it, and the person goes.
And I know how that'll work. That person will say it's all bullshit no matter what. Because they don't want to deal with it.
There should be,
So the police
obviously
are
you have to word the law in a way a lawyer would word it so that there aren't stupid loopholes that Rim is shooting in a thing that I just said 2 words of.
Actually,
right?
and
the police will be forced by law to where if you say, find my iPhone, here it is, it's in this house, they have to go and get it, or you can sue them. That's how it needs to be.
Or maybe it says if the police won't do it, you get a vigilante license.
Or the police won't do it. They have to compensate you and give you what your iPhone is worth.
That'd be cool.
Right? It's like if I have proof my iPhone is in this house. Either you help me go retrieve it or you buy me a new iPhone. And by law, they must do it. And if they don't, you can take them to court. And if you win in court, they pay your court fees too.
But this is
and compensate you for your time of going to court.
This is a specific...
And the officer who refused gets fired and is never allowed to be police or military ever again in their whole lives.
This is a specific example of that situation where technology has gotten to a point to where we can do ghost in the shell shit. If someone steals your stuff, we know where it is.
Right,
Just
but
go
I'm
get
not
it.
the invincible major who can actually go and get the thing.
But the police could use this technology.
Yes, they
to
have a
improve
gun. They
the
can go and
quality
get
of life
anything they want.
Of everyone. I mean, imagine if all the petty crimes that were solvable by technology in New York City were solved. I have a feeling that a large percentage of the people who are mugging people for their cell phones would no longer be in polite society within a few months.
Yep. I mean, if this law existed, I would buy like a $2,000 bike. I'd put a GPS in it, right?
And I'd use my bike all the time.
I wouldn't even lock it. I would leave that shit on the street, and I'd be like, go for it.
You know,
you
Scott,
take this?
I'm of the mind that while I want the government to take care of a lot of things, I believe in a modicum of due diligence.
Hey,
while
take it.
a guy shouldn't steal your car if you leave the keys in it, but if you leave the keys in it, you're a dumb fuck.
Hey, if I can find it, if I know with 100% certainty that if you take it, I'll know where it is and you will be arrested, that's like bait. It's like I just buy shit that's expensive and leave it.
Yeah, and you know what I do,
with
Scott?
GPS in it, and it would just help fix the problem faster.
I start stealing bikes, putting them in Faraday cages, and removing their obvious GPS units.
Well, that's obviously, I said, if there's 100% certainty, that's a situation.
There's no certainty in life.
There is a certainty.
There's no certainty of anything. Solipsism. Anyway, my point is this. This is a specific example. I mean, we have friends who have had shit stolen. Scott knew where his Xbox was. Another friend actually had the ad for her bike that was stolen on Craigslist in her neighborhood. And the cops basically told her to go fuck herself.
Yep.
So either legislation needs to fix this, or guys, seriously, get a really big friend or like find a Hell's Angel and just go get your phone back.
I think we should just start a company, right? We hire some people who are like, you know,
hire a vigilante.
No, we just hire
iVigilante.
We hire people
NYC.
who were bounty hunters or were bouncers or those, security professionals, right? Legitimate people who aren't crazy in the head, because a lot of people.
I would hire only off-duty cops.
Yeah, that's a good one
or
too.
Or retired cops.
Also good, right? Any of those types of people, right? And some of those people in those professions are crazy in the head, so we would make sure we only hire the not crazy in the head ones. And All we would do is, if you come to us and prove that, your phone or your whatever is at a specific place with the serial numbers or some evidence that, we're comfortable with, you pay us a fee and we will go and recover your item.
But
we'll go with you to recover your item.
I'm mostly mad about the fact that police departments seem to be advocating that the correct solution to this is that stolen phones should have mandated kill switches to make them not valuable, as opposed to trivially arresting people who are probably guilty of more than one crime.
Well, because here's the reason for that, right? It's they don't want you to go to someone's house because it's dangerous, right? Killing the phone poses no danger to anyone. If a cop has to drive somewhere and knock on a door, that's one more dangerous situation they have to be in.
Yep.
They would rather no one be in any dangerous situation.
But I would argue.
I'm like, sorry, your job is to go into the dangerous situation. That's what you signed up for.
Maybe we need to pay
Someone
him more.
has to do it.
That's a separate discussion.
Weren't we, when there's a cop has a funeral, isn't there all this talk about bravery and courage? It's like our whole society, now looks down on bravery as stupidity, but it's like they want to use the word all the time to congratulate themselves, but they don't want to actually practice it. And the rare case that someone actually does, it's like, oh my God. It's like, no, all of you should be doing that, right? All
I think
the time,
there's a side
every
discussion
day.
to be had here that in general, because the police, by and large, will not help people with the kinds of crimes that most people experience, people don't really trust the police.
That's one reason people don't trust the police.
I am way more nervous around police than I am around shady hooded figures in an alley at night. Like, for real.
I would be much more afraid of weird things that could happen if I go to the police station and say the wrong thing than weird things that could happen if I go try to recover my phone.
The only thing I'm more afraid of than cops is judges. When I'm in a courtroom, I'm just sitting perfectly silent, even if I'm not on trial. Just like, please don't send me to jail for nothing. I guess I'd be more afraid if I was in a jail that they'd accidentally keep me there. But I don't go into jails.
Anyway.
And I will never will.
Or prison.
But anyway, things of the day.
I'm just gonna leave my phone here and call the police.
Yeah.
And be like, my friend stole my phone.
I'm sure they'll come after me.
I'm
sure that'll happen.
You'll go to that jail you never wanted to go to.
I'm sure the police will get right on recovering that cell phone.
Maybe they will.
Meanwhile, I'll be in your apartment. I'll claim squatters' rights. It'll take you at least 3 months to kick me out.
Okay.
Plus, I've never actually been convicted of trespassing, breaking, or entering. Though I've been chased before. So yeah, things of the day. Got kind of serious things of the day. The mayonnaise. This is a big deal. So
I
May
don't like
1,
mayonnaise. It doesn't taste good.
What the fuck, Scott?
Chipotle mayo tastes good.
That's just mayo plus something.
Yeah, but that covers up the nasty taste of regular mayonnaise.
How can you hate mayonnaise?
It's disgusting.
It's as American as apple pie and trans fat.
I'd never put mayonnaise on something on purpose. If I get like a chicken sandwich or something, it happens to be on there. It's like, okay, but yeah, I never put mayonnaise on something intentionally.
So, May1.us. We don't talk about politics often on Geeknights. We will do a Thursday show about this in depth later. Scott and I both gave money to a super PAC. That shit doesn't happen. So I urge you to go to this thing, read about it, and consider the fact that I'm a little more politically motivated, and Scott gave money to a political cause.
Well, it's, why lack political motivation? Because government's just fucking corrupt and you're not going to do anything
Lawrence
anyway.
Lessig's argument, corruption is the first thing we have to solve. We can't solve anything until we solve corruption.
I 100% agree with that. I agreed with it before he even said it.
So, as I've noticed, I was going through some of the details. It seems like mostly Democrats are on board with this and mostly Republicans are not.
Well, but they're both corrupt as fuck.
Yeah, they are. But Democrats are at least paying this some lip service.
Okay, sure.
Just saying.
He's been playing it lip service for how many years and done nothing?
So the Democrats are embodied as a male.
Obama specifically said in his campaign.
Obama.
Yes, he specifically said that he would do things to fight, the influence of money in Washington. And it's been like 6 years, and he's done nothing.
Well, because it's Congress's job, really.
He didn't even say since being elected. He did nothing. Didn't even say something like, "Hey, Congress."
Well, that's because he's too busy covering up the aliens at Benghazi.
Obviously, actually, Bill Clinton said there was an interview with him, unrelated, well, somewhat related. He said that when he became president, he sent like his aides to go check out Area 51 for aliens, and that there weren't any.
Yeah, I'm sure that even if I'm assuming there's no aliens at Area 51.
Duh.
Guys, but if there were. The aides who came back were either lizard people clones.
Oh. Of course.
And if he said he wanted to go there himself, they just drive him to some warehouse somewhere.
But anyway, the mayonnaise, right? The deal is they're going to have a super PAC and use the money to basically run ads to make sure that corrupt fucking congressmen don't get elected. Right?
On an individual level. So they're going to pick specific
They're going to find
elections.
the most corrupt fuckers and try to beat them so they don't get elected back into Congress.
They're trying to get the most bang for their buck. And basically the deal is if they get $1 million worth of pledges, they have unnamed donors who will match that, doubling our power.
So there are at least some rich people who don't want to have to pay. They would rather not have to pay Washington and have the government be uncorrupt than just pay Washington and get what they want.
Now, this is the same Lawrence Lessig that you're thinking of. He's also proposed a constitutional amendment in his free ebook, One Way Forward, that is a specific proposal on a way to fix this problem.
Right.
Since no one paid attention to that, he's doing this instead.
Right. Now, how much confidence do I have that this will work in any way?
More than zero.
More than zero, which isn't much. But you know what? What else has any chance at all? Nothing realistic that anyone has proposed or is doing at all in any way, anywhere.
The money I gave this thing probably counts more than any vote I've ever cast.
Right. So, the arrow's probably gonna miss, but no one else shooting any, so might as well shoot. If I don't pay, it ain't gonna shoot.
Unless
so
he's aiming at us, but at least it's Lawrence Lessig.
He definitely is not aiming at us.
Look, guys, if we
Lawrence
can't...
Lessig, certified, smart, good person.
If we can't trust Lawrence Lessig, we should just end human society right now because we're fucked.
One thing I am worried about, right, and this is sort of speaking of aliens, conspiracy nuttiness, right? But if this shit starts to move, right, it's sort of like it's all him, right? If someone tries to assassinate him, what are we gonna do? He's no one cares about it now, but
So
if
Scott,
there's significant progress and we're getting close to the point where we can do something.
He assembled a board of directors that imagine if you did this and you assembled the board of directors of people to work with you on it. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing. He's got a bunch of people working on it. You'd probably have to take all of them out.
Listen, these powers that be that can control a government with money can kill a bunch of people.
I'm going to make a reference. I'm curious if you get this reference. You got to be a spirit. You can't be no ghost.
Okay.
It's ultra relevant. You have no idea?
I know it's that movie where the guy's president but he doesn't give a shit.
Okay, you know.
Yeah.
Bullworth.
Yeah, that one.
Good movie. Really
good.
Depressing movie. It's supposed
I prefer Dave, which is just I'm president. Yeah, I'm just going to do it.
Dave is the eagle of American politics.
That's exactly right.
And
Dave and Eagle are my style.
Yeah, I think Bullworth is this is how it really would go down.
That's right.
So you got a thing of the day?
I do. So this guy had this idea, genius idea. Every day he gets up and looks in the mirror in the bathroom and he sees his ugly face and he says, you know what? It would be really cool if when I looked at this mirror, I saw other things while I was brushing my teeth. For example, maybe news headlines or the weather. And we have technology. Why can't that happen? How much time would I save? I wouldn't sit at my computer. I could do two things at once. I could wash my face and my hands and also get the news reading done. How much time would I save in the morning? I could, bike around a little bit and then go to work, right? So you know what he does? He goes and first, he acquires a piece of observation glass, which is not the same as one-way glass. Right, one-way glass is one side is black and the other side you see through. Or one side is a mirror and the other side you see through. This is what they have in police observation rooms where if the lights in one room are on and the other ones are off, then you can only see through one way and the other side's a mirror. But if the lights in both rooms are on, it's just a piece of glass. And it's crazy that even works, but I'm sure the internet will tell you how that works. I didn't look it up on the internet yet. Then he took that piece of glass that it was kind of hard to get, actually, and he put a monitor behind it, and he made a web page on the monitor with a Raspberry Pi with a black screen, and he only put the stuff he wanted to see in white text. So it's like a mirror that he can look at his own face in, but then information shows through.
That's the kind of thing you see in movies that you think, oh, that'd be really cool.
Well, it exists today, and you can build your own, and maybe you can turn it into a product if you
And hopefully not burn your bathroom
get
down.
a good price, an observation glass, and shitty Chinese LCD screens.
I'd be worried
and
about burning my
Raspberry Pis.
bathroom down at least a little bit.
Oh, maybe you don't put it in the bathroom. Maybe it's a bedroom mirror.
I don't have a bedroom mirror. Maybe I should get one.
So you can look at your hanging on the ceiling.
Nah. The only mirror I have is in the bathroom, which sometimes is a problem, actually.
The only thing I really lack, my mirror is gigantic in the bathroom, but I lack the full-length mirror.
Because you really got to see if those slacks are
I know.
matching the purse and the
Exactly.
shoes. Yep. All right, meta moment.
Oh. there's so much-
Kineticon. It's coming up.
Oh, is that the next convention?
It's the next convention we're going to be going to.
Okay.
So, Kineticon's awesome. If you didn't submit a panel, well, it's way too fucking late for that. I'm in the middle of scheduling everything currently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kineticon's awesome. It's the best non-PAX, non-MagFest gaming convention I can think of in the United States.
Okay.
Pretty much straight up.
All right. Other news I can see on my calendar. Today is Cinco de Mayo. Ay! Party.
I saw the most racist ad that a frat put out for their Drinko.
Corona? It was all Corona?
They put on a Drinko del Mayo event, and the poster was racist to the point of it was really bad. I think their frat got kicked off campus though.
Good. I guess the Netrunner regionals where I live are coming up. So there's one on the 21st of June and one on the 19th of July.
All right.
One's in Boston, one's in Philly. Fuck you, not putting one in New York. What other news is there really for meta-ness? Oh, the book club is...
You forgot the name again. It's your
Canonical
book.
for Leibowitz.
Yep.
I didn't start reading it yet. I probably should acquire it.
I'll acquire it and read it because I'm flying. There's going to be no Geeknights next week. I got to fly to London and Stockholm and Hamburg and Dublin.
I guess I'll be biking and not running.
Yep. So no Geeknights. We'll see if we get anything done this coming weekend to have a little bit of bonus content along the way. Stay tuned. Tuesday episodes of Geeknights will be streaming live on Twitch once we short out the rest of the shit to make that happen. A lot of shit that has to be sorted for that.
Yep. Other things, check out all our stuff on the internet. We have YouTube channels, even though mine's mostly Netrunner videos.
Mine's mostly Geeknights lectures.
Right. We've got Twitters. We've got Facebooks. We've got Google+. We have IRC. We have a newsletter that I said I was going to write, but I didn't write. But I'm going to add it to my Remember the Milk right the fuck now.
Oh, I forgot about it after last show.
Yep. I can't log into Remember the Milk right now. But anyway, I'm definitely going to write another
definitely going to forget
newsletter.
it until Wednesday.
We have forums. Sign up for them. We have every possible thing on the internet. However you communicate on the internet, you should go.
But Black Dynamite, I only use Gopher.
Gopher's dead. Black Dynamite. It hasn't been used since I'm sure someone's going to tell me it's not dead, but it's might as well be dead, right?
It's pretty much dead.
Yeah. Any place you go on the internet to communicate and be with people, we are in that place. If you're listening to this, why would you not also be in that place with us? At least a little bit. Go find that place and be happy.
So, you bought some technology.
I guess I did. So, I bought this camera that we sort of needed, I guess. I mean, we didn't 100% need it, but if we want to do awesome video shit.
It could be argued that we needed it to justify the cost.
Sure, maybe. So, it's the camera I got is the GH4, the Panasonic GH4, which is a Micro Four Thirds mirrorless camera, but the main feature of it compared to the GH3 is that it can record 4K video, and it's only like $1,700, which is very expensive. But compared to any other camera that shoots 4K, that's not like a tiny GoPro or something, this is pretty much it. Like the next cheapest camera is like $4,000, and after that, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to shoot 4K video.
Yep.
So that's sort of ridiculous that it even exists. And it's pretty incredible. You can basically use this shit to make professional movies and TV shows like Hollywood level. You know, you might need extra equipment around the camera, such as lighting and such.
Yep, that's where I've been acquiring surprisingly expensive doodads.
Yeah, lighting, lenses, etc., etc. But the camera on its own for $1,700 does all that. I'm upgraded, and it helped because I had a GF2 going to the GH4, right? And they both use the same Micro Four Thirds lenses. So it's like, All the lenses I already bought are still good. And, I sort of realized, since starting to get cameras that actually change lenses, the lenses are the more expensive part, and they're the part you actually care about, right? Because you buy a lens, it's good for fucking ever, right? The body of the camera, it's like that shit, you just get new ones every few years, right? That shit gets out of date. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we can do with this. I mean, there's a lot of, basically what we have to do now, me and Scott, is with this new camera and actually trying to do video content on a regular basis. You might remember the old days of Geeknights, 8 years ago, where it took us a while to make a pipeline that we follow the pipeline and Geeknights comes out. It used to be every night we'd talk for an hour about what we're going to do the show on. We'd fuck around with the mixer and plug a bunch of stuff in. We'd talk a bunch, re-talk some stuff. I'd edit for 2 hours, start the encoder. That would take a half hour. Then we'd manually input all this data into a website on a pretty primitive back end. It was a tough time, and over time we refined, and now it takes about 5 more minutes than the time we spend talking to do an episode. So we got a good pipeline there. Video's an order of magnitude more work.
I don't think it will be possible to get the video pipeline down, and let me tell you, I used the camera to record some Netrunner games, right?
Yep.
I did it in 1080p, not 4K.
All right.
And I did it at the lowest bit rate, which is 50 megabits per second.
Yep.
You could take it all the way up to 200 megabits per second, 1080p, which will do something called all-I. So what all-I is normally when you're because it's recording an MOV or MP4, right? Normally, if there's 2 frames of video next to each other and 1 pixel is the same color in both frames, it doesn't store the pixel twice. It's just yeah, that pixel's the same, bro. And it saves space that way, right? When you do all-I, it actually stores each frame individually. So if you edit it in After Effects or something or Photoshop, right, you can edit all the frames individually, right? So I didn't even use that mode. I used the 50 megabit per second, 30 FPS mode. Well, 29.97 FPS mode.
Ooh, not even 60 for that good action?
Yeah. And I recorded all these, 4 rounds of Netrunners. It took up almost the whole 128 gig SD card.
Yeah,
It took an hour just to transfer that to the computer.
Welcome to my world, where our existing pipeline to video a Geeknights lecture, which is an hour long, on my old prosumer camcorder that has a 300 gig hard drive in it, compressed pretty heavily, the video that comes out, 1080p 60, it's about 20 to 30 gigabytes per panel. And that's with old as shit technology heavily compressed.
Yep.
And it takes me a while to turn that into a resulting video that is now for people to watch on YouTube. So, you gonna store all that B-roll forever? Holding on to that B-roll?
It's not B-roll.
That's
your
A-roll.
It is only A-roll.
You gonna hold on to that A-roll?
I got space.
For now. How many Netrunner things are you gonna go to?
A lot.
So I'm already working on a pipeline for massive video files. I might have to upgrade my computer in the near future to handle this stuff.
My computer's pretty much as upgraded as it gets. I mean, my NAS is full of drives, so there's not really much I can upgrade other than getting some monster servers or something else you can do, right? And this is what Vimeo actually does, is when they need to encode, when you send your video upload to Vimeo to get encoded, right? They send your video to all these Amazon instances that just spring up, encode your video, and then shut down, right? So you can just get, some ridiculous cloud server on Amazon. If your internet is fast enough, upload your video, encode it, download it again, and you'll actually, if your download and upload are fast enough, you'll actually save time because the encoding will be so fast. And you got some ridiculously powerful machine to do the encoding, which costs a lot of money, but you're only using it for 5 minutes? So you only paid $1 to use that machine for 5 minutes, maybe, right? And you can actually, if it saves you a lot of time, that's fucking worth it, right? I would pay $1 to save a couple hours of time.
Yep, absolutely. But all that aside, what I've been researching, and I actually haven't bought anything yet because it's a very complex field, made more complex by the fact that we live in New York. We want good microphones.
We have lots of good microphones.
We do, but they're very bad. They're good for recording Geeknights. They're not good for recording lectures at conventions because we can't bring all this shit with us.
That's
and
for
even then,
sure.
it's hard to integrate it into their systems. And then on video, like we don't like to hold microphones.
Yeah, holding microphones on video is only good in certain situations. Usually where, you know, if you're doing like a TV show, like where you're a sitcom, you don't want to see anything on the screen, right? So you need to have a boom guy, right? Holding the microphone up above. So
Or a
no
bunch of
one's-
lavaliers. A lot of ways you can do it.
You don't use lavaliers when you don't want anyone to see the microphone at all.
It depends.
On a sitcom, right? So, but you could use lavaliers on, say, a talk show where it's okay for people to see that, right? But then if you're like, you know, doing an interview with someone on the street, holding a microphone as a news reporter, that's okay with a little box around it, you know, and you kind of want to have that. You want that there, right? That's like the thing that people are used to seeing, and you get your logo on there and everything. And it also helps not just on the screen when people are watching at home, but also in person, like when you're on the street, right? You can't just wire someone up with a lavalier to interview them, right? But you still need to mic them, and you can't.
Well, it's interesting because I've seen a lot of reporters do just that when they're interviewing
they
people.
wire people up with a lavalier.
Yeah, they
then
wire you
interview
up with a lavalier and then they do the interview and
It's
then
so
they
much.
take it
It's
off.
so much faster. Just walk up to somebody like, "Hey, how you doing?" Shove the microphone in their
Yeah,
face.
well, it depends on what you're doing there. So hence pipeline. So the problem is we don't have, the one thing that really prevents this from being easy. We don't have studio space.
No.
And even if we did, like we're kind of trying to get studio space in the city somewhere.
There's a lot to the west of my apartment near the bake shop. There's all sorts of like industrial-ish, empty-ish places, and there's a lot of tiny businesses that have moved in there, like random hair salon. I saw yesterday there's like some Bosnian group hangout. They bought a space, they're renting it or whatever, and they were just Bosnian dudes hanging out together. And it's like, that's cool.
we should make a gaming society that's like that.
I'm sure we can find a space, you know, we just need to find a way to pay for it.
Yeah, but it's also a space that we'll then be leaving a lot of very expensive equipment in.
Yeah, well, you know.
But
The other key is that for lighting, to save a lot of money, if you could get some, you know, west or east facing windows, right?
yeah, because we totally do all our video when the sun's out.
What I'm saying is if you can get some east or west facing windows, you can do video in the morning or the afternoon when the sun is shining right through those windows, and it will look really
Actually,
good.
through the windows like that usually is not great lighting just because the angles involved and
Listen,
the glass.
the
and-
sun is the best light.
Yeah, naked sun, not sun through glass at an angle that you can't control.
No, we're talking about huge fucking windows, not tiny little
Yeah, that
box
doesn't
windows.
exist here.
It does. People, they're like, some guy was telling me how he had, he bought a
Yeah,
space.
you've told me about this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not feasible. Also, then what? We're only going to do video on Saturday and Sunday during the golden hour?
Well, only video that needs to be really bright.
So we can't here's an example of a very specific issue. I'm not going to install booms in my house for microphones.
Oh.
And I can't pad the entire living room in acoustic foam. So the only way to get good audio when we do a video is either to close mic us with our existing Geeknights microphones,
Which you'll see in the video.
which wouldn't be that bad.
We could dub over ourselves.
Yeah, because we'll
ADR.
totally do that.
ADR.
That'll totally happen.
It'll be hilarious. ADR.
But because of the restrictions on the room and the fact that I also don't want to just tear apart the living room every time we do video, because the idea is we're going to be doing video like once a week.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, or at least once every other
Make
week.
more videos. Right?
So I need microphones that don't require shit to be set up in the living room to do it. Because right now, either I put these microphones in front of our faces and then they cast shadows because despite all the lights I own, it's still not enough lights. And we can't be far enough away from the background to just green screen or white whatever it out. So the other option is I can mount one boom higher up temporarily and do a stereo mic from the ceiling. And it works okay, but the audio's not great, and it's a giant pain in the ass to set that up every time. So what we want is, if Scott's buying an expensive camera, I've been investigating to buy the E6 Countryman head-mounted microphone, which appears to be the best head-mounted microphone.
That's the one they use in the TED Talks. It's like a little flesh-colored stick that sort of most of the equipment is on your ear, right? And then it's just sort of this little stick that comes out and then in front of your mouth.
It is so tiny.
You can see it, but you forget it's there. It's great if you don't care if someone sees it, but you want really high quality and you don't want to hold anything.
Everyone I've ever talked to, all the research I've ever done, this is the fucking best.
Yep.
So, duh, we'll get that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to plug that shit into something.
Yeah. Now, here's where it gets complicated and annoying. This is where professional equipment is so much more expensive and harder to deal with than prosumer equipment. Like Scott's camera. If we want to do like full on video, camera's not enough. We need this huge base station to plug into it, which is like $2,000 by itself.
Right. It's this camera. The reason I got it, is because that very reason. Right. It's this weird piece of equipment in that, in the hands of a pro with all this extra shit, it can get the job done. It's great. But also, you could just like, as a photographer, just a normal person, it's totally usable just on its own. It's extreme rarity, right, in the world of audio video production, that this one thing like expands such a wide range of, amateur to professional use.
Yep, but even then, you need all this extra equipment and pipelines to do like if you want to use it in a studio, you need a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, it's like if you just take this to your house and like take a video of you, it'll probably be a good video, right? But it's not gonna look like a fucking Hollywood movie.
So here's the complication with the E6 microphone. For one, it has a ridiculous number of options that if you aren't already an expert in this stuff, it won't make any sense. Luckily,
what could the options possibly be?
It has to do with the kind of cartridge in it, how directional it is, how much padding it has.
Wouldn't there just be the one they use at TED Talks?
They use different ones for different people.
Whoa.
There's a lot of options.
Wow.
So that we know that stuff. We sort that stuff out.
That's crazy, though.
Complicated. Right? Yeah, it is. Here,
it's like there's no different SM58s for different people, right?
All right. Yeah. Well, do you use an SM58 or a Beta 87A or a Beta 58?
This is a Beta 58A.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I bought that specifically.
You need different ones for different people?
So my microphone is a Beta 87A.
Whoa.
It's got a more cardioid pattern. It's a hypercardioid.
Okay.
Which means if I move my head too much, I'm really quiet.
You also just talked really quietly.
I guess I did. Talking at the same volume. Now I'm next to the microphone. Now I'm going back to the front of the microphone.
All right.
So anyway, tons of options, tons of complicated shit, but we know this stuff, so that's fine, and this thing's the best. So what do you plug it into? Well, if we just wanted to do video in the house, I could get it hardwired to XLR, powered with phantom power, plug it directly into the mixer with a cable.
Well, that'd have a long-ass wire.
That's fine.
And we
that's
couldn't
doable.
really walk around a lot either.
Easily doable.
And how do you hide that wire? Down your shirt, down your pants, onto the floor, across the room?
Well, down your shirt, down your pants. Behind us is sitting the Marantz.
Oh, okay.
That kind of rhymed. Like, that actually would work pretty well.
All right.
There are cases where I would want to use the wired option. Like, for example, if I'm just doing a Twitch video and I got my face on screen and doing some stuff, I'd kind of just want to plug it into the mixer and go.
You could also just, like, walk around the convention and sort of have the Marantz hanging, like, behind you.
Yep, like
on your belt,
I wear the
flapping
Marantz
against your butt.
So here's how we do it. I wear the
You're
Marantz.
wearing the thing. The wires are behind you, but the video's only in front of you. And the Marantz is battery powered.
Yeah.
So we can sync that shit up later.
Lots of stuff we can do there that's nice and cool. But the cartridge, the actual microphone, is fundamentally different if you want to wire it hardwired to be able to take phantom power and plug into a mixer versus if you want to plug it into a wireless system. And guess what? Half the other times we want to use this is like at a convention, we want to use our awesome microphone instead of the shitty microphones that like PAX gives us.
So we have to buy two.
So, no, we have to buy
a wired one and an unwired one.
4.
But for 2 people. 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like $400 to $600 each.
Well, my camera was $1,700, so 500 times 4 is about the same amount of money.
Now, say we want to do wireless.
Plus, you're not even counting the lenses I bought. I bought $1,000 lens also.
Yeah. That is a really good lens, though. that lens.
I need, because the other lenses were not really the greatest for video. So
yeah, they're not. Like my pancake lens, not good at video at all.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, zoom lens, I can kind of wing it, but I got to manual focus that shit.
No,
half the
that
time.
lens is so not sharp. That's the cheapo.
Yeah, but it works pretty well.
It works, yeah. Anyway.
Especially if I'm going down to like 720p. Anyway, so wireless systems, if you've never dealt with wireless, I'll just say this. If a band tours, either every single venue they go to, they contact and say, take care of all the microphones for us, or they hire an RF manager. The RF manager tours with them and figures out what equipment and frequencies and everything to use in every venue. So if Scott and I buy some like cheapo wireless microphone shit, it might work here, but it might not work very well in Chicago. Just
Yeah.
fuck you.
Well, isn't that why you can change, channels on it? So we go to Chicago and we push the search for new channel button, and it's supposed to find a channel.
Yeah, so already if you want the ones that let you search for a channel, that's like twice the price getting into prosumer territory.
All right, well, that's already mandatory, right? So
yeah, so that already eliminates most of these systems in the world. So
Okay.
if we look at just Shure,
But even if we just buy those, that should be fine, right? We don't need an RF manager.
So if those have a single antenna as opposed to dual channel, then odds are if you walk around at all, your audio will just periodically just drop out for a second.
Yeah, you're added that you're not hitting the one antenna. You
Yep,
hit
because
the other
fuck
one.
you.
Right.
Two antennas eliminates that.
All right, so you need two antennas.
That
and
eliminates a bunch
and
more of these
searching for a
types.
channel.
So basically,
But we have
eventually,
two people, so we actually need 4 antennas and 2 searching for channels.
So eventually you get into, like, if you go to Shure, the ULX S and P series.
Aren't there competitors?
Yeah, I know Shure, and they seem to be the ones I'm going to buy.
Okay.
I've used other types before, but I've always used them in the sense of either someone else rented them and I just configure them. I never had to think in terms
Don't
of
the people who make the lavaliers, the Canyon people, also make the wireless things?
They actually no. So when you buy their microphone, then you tell it what kind of wireless system you're going to use with it, and then they make it custom for that system. The connectors are all different. It's not just XLR.
Why wouldn't they make an interchangeable connector?
Because the voltages are also different. Because if you're pushing regular old phantom power from something with a 9-volt battery in it on your back, that's not going to work so well. So they take different voltages. So I came down to the ULX S or P versions.
Okay.
The differences between them are almost negligible.
Then why do they even have 2 different versions of the
So the
difference
S is
negligible?
considered the prosumer version. It's pretty much awesome, but it doesn't have group scan. ULXP has group scan.
So group scan is for when you have more than one.
Group scan says the unit will find a group because every different wireless system has a set of channel groups. So you pick a group, and then each microphone needs a channel within that group.
Mm-hmm.
So the group scan will find the group near you that has the least interference and thus most available channels.
And then it'll give one channel to one guy, one channel to the other guy?
Basically, yes.
All right.
Without group scan, you have to just fucking guess at which group and then scan within the group. Wouldn't have been a problem. But the difference between the two is only like $200 per unit. And everything I ever read on the internet from anyone said, really wish I bought the P. Wasn't that much more money.
Can you imagine sitting there going like, how many channels are there? What, 12?
There's like 9 to 12 groups.
So you sit there with like number 1 and you scan it, and then 2, and then you scan it, and you're manually pushing the buttons. Wouldn't you pay money to never have to push those buttons? And
Exactly.
just push
So this
one
gets
button?
more complicated. There's a lot of cheap systems on eBay. You know what? That shit's all illegal.
How could it be illegal? If it's on eBay and it's illegal, wouldn't eBay say,
Yeah, so here's
hey,
the
you
deal.
can't sell that illegal equipment, we're taking down your listing?
Because people don't even know. In fact,
Like
a
if
lot
I
of
try to sell a gun on eBay, eBay is like, fuck no.
A lot of people still don't know. So in 2010, it finally became illegal to use wireless microphones on the 700 megahertz band.
Oh, okay.
Because that band, after the whole digital TV conversion and a whole bunch of stuff that happened, is used primarily by reserved special services, police, fire, EMT.
Wait, they I don't get that. Emergency services had frequencies they've been using forever. Why?
That were overcrowded and not that effective. The whole idea is that they rejiggered a lot of the frequencies to make better frequencies available.
So if they rejiggered over to 700 megahertz, they must have left what were they used to be using. We can use that now, right?
Yeah, so that's also reserved for other things. And every wireless system works in different ranges. And if you want to use a particular wireless system, the advice everyone gives you comes down to, well, where are you installing this? What TV stations are active near you? So shit got complicated way quick. And one blog listed cities in terms of difficulty, like how pro
New
does
York is going to be most difficult.
the list was like how pro
New York is God mode.
how pro does your RF manager need to be to handle a concert in this city? And at the top, by itself, New York.
Right,
and
but
it was
wouldn't
basically
you be
like
in most of the good concert venues are like in a shielded stage place, right, where you're not going to interfere with anything outside the building.
yeah, you'll interfere with your own shit internally.
Right, but if you're doing like an outdoor concert,
Yeah.
fuck you.
Yep. So doing all this research, I finally got to the end. I figured out everything to buy, kind of like how Scott did all his research. Like, this is the camera.
Yep.
It's worth the money. So I decided to get a ULXP system. I go to buy one, and then, ULXPs can be bought in one of 3 bands.
Well, which one is the New York one?
So each band has its own set of frequencies. They're all hardware. So if you buy one, you want to use a different band? Fuck you.
You got to buy 3 of each.
Also, say we buy we buy the G3 band, I think is one of them. And all the other systems use different bands and different band names, different band sets. So if you want to use that system at, say, PAX, depending on what
So
band...
we're going to take our equipment to Seattle and then to Boston, but we might need a different one in a different place than New York.
And it doesn't just depend on the city. It depends on, say, PAX already has a bunch of equipment. What bands are they using? What channels
Can't
are free?
we just hook up to their equipment?
Maybe, if they'll let us.
But wait, our lavaliers are for our equipment.
Now, we could plug our lavaliers, because the one part of the reason why I want to go with Shure is because every con we've ever been to has used Shure Wireless. And I know the connector. I know how that shit works. Even the anime club at RIT, that's what we used when we had microphones. So we could plug our countrymen into their battery packs and just use our awesome microphone there without having to bring the other equipment, which is fine.
No, ZenkaCon, they had Sennheiser.
Yeah, Zenkai-Con. PAX and everyone else had Shure. In fact, I took pictures of all the equipment at all the PAXs to do the research later. So, yeah, that got real complicated real quick. And the moral of all this, I guess, is unless you need pro equipment, don't fucking buy pro equipment.
Man, it's so weird. It's like, it's pro. It's like, is it that thing with the Bloomberg terminal where it's hard just to make pros feel like they know something? Or is it just, it's hard because it's pro?
Oh, and by the way, are you licensed or not? Because depending on if you buy some wireless microphone systems and you set them up in certain ways, you're breaking the law. You're fucked if the FCC comes knocking.
But couldn't you just get the license from the FCC?
FCC license for microphone broadcast locally at higher amplitudes or different reserve frequency ranges costs a lot of money.
But like a ham radio license doesn't cost much.
Ham radio is a totally different thing.
Come on, just all the licenses should be the same. Why is this one so expensive?
It's not that it's so expensive, it's that it's expensive for us not making money. Also, you have to have a legit reason and be something.
Why don't we just go?
Podcast doesn't count.
Why don't we just go to a different country that doesn't have an FCC? And
other countries, it's way complicated. Basically, all this equipment I'm looking at, U.S. only. Do not bring it to the EU; they'll confiscate it.
Why don't we just go to like the northern? Well, no, not the northern Canada. Near the tropics on an island where there's no one interfering with anything, and who gives a fuck?
And then in the middle of our Twitch broadcast, you hear the pirate radio just start chiming in. Actually, that would be pretty awesome.
Dude, if I lived on a boat in the tropics, I would listen to the pirate radio. I would be looking forward to it.
Yup.
And then I'd see the guy in his boat with his big antenna sticking out, and I'd say, hey, good morning, what's up?
But let's say you aren't, doing you're not trying to do live, for real video streams to Twitch. You're not trying to, record for real lectures at conventions on a regular basis.
Don't buy wireless.
There's cheaper consumer level systems that'll work pretty fucking well if you're okay with occasionally there's some static or occasionally it fails.
Can't we just get that and then remove the static in post?
Well, the static removes what you were saying.
Well, obviously we just re-record that part with ADR.
Yeah, because we're totally gonna do that.
Why not?
It'd
save a fuck ton of money, right?
Would we? Because then we're spending time instead.
But how much time?
I don't know. Also, the more pro equipment we have, the more likely it is a major convention would let us use it with their stuff.
Maybe.
But basically, unless you're doing something for serious and you're actually willing to do the requisite research and be an expert in that field, you should never buy professional equipment because either you're going to waste money or you're going to get in trouble or break something or somehow cause a problem for someone.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds similar to the camera, right? The one problem I had with the previous camera is that when you record it, well, first of all, it wasn't even 1080p, it was 1080i.
Yep.
Right? But you'd record video, but if the battery ran out, video ends. Well, that's no good, right? I'm in a weird situation where, you don't really need, the battery lasts for hours, right? It's not really a problem most of the time. But I was recording Netrunner videos, and each round is an hour, or at least unless you play fast, right? And, you're using a battery. Maybe round one, the batteries...
What, you don't have a bandolier of batteries?
Even if you have a bandolier of batteries, I can't stop in the middle of a game to change the battery.
No, you have the bandolier that self-powers through that special weird-ass cable.
Oh, no, you can't. There's no way to apply power to that old camera, right, except through the battery holes. It doesn't have an AC or DC input hole on it. right?
No.
Like a camcorder does or anything. And, you recharge the batteries by taking them out of the camera and putting them in a charger.
Yep.
So basically, even if you only use like 3/4 of a battery, that extra quarter is basically now useless to you because you can't record a full game on it.
Well, for
if
my
you try to
camcorder-
use that power to record a game, the camera will run out mid-game. You'll have to stop, change the battery, and start again.
So-
even if your memory card is gigantic, no good.
My camcorder has a special battery that's basically just an interface to the battery ports, and then that has a cable that goes down to a bandolier of batteries.
So, the newer camera, right? You can buy this thing, which is exactly that. It's a fake battery. It's in the shape of a battery with a wire coming out. And the camera even has a little flappy bit so that the wire can escape the battery hole and stick out of the camera. Separately, they sell an AC adapter that plugs into that. They don't provide them in a package, even though one is useless without the other. I don't know why, but they don't. So, in the instruction manual, it says, don't use any AC adapter except this AC10 PP, and don't use any battery, plug thingy except the DC whatever number, right? So I tried to get those model numbers.
Yeah, once you go pro, very specific model numbers of things mean a lot to you.
So I go and I B&H'd, and miraculously they had the fake battery bit, but they didn't have an AC adapter. How did they order a not equal number of both products? I do not know. So I go searching on the internet for the AC adapter. No one has it, except like some Japanese places. And it's like, wow, are they just not selling this here? Right?
Yeah. Well, here.
But then I noticed the GH3 had the exact same batteries as the GH4. It had the exact same DC coupling bit, but it had a different AC adapter, the AC8, not the AC10. And I'm like, why wouldn't the AC8 work in the same as the AC10 does? I mean, clearly they've changed the product, but this takes the same batteries as that camera and the same DC coupler and the same everything. Why wouldn't it use the same, right? So I decided to take a risk for the internets. I went and I bought the Wasabi batteries meant for the GH3, the third-party batteries, and I stuck them in there. Camera could have exploded. Didn't explode. They work great. And that made me think, aha, it is exactly the same as GH3, isn't it? And they're trying to bullshit me. So then I found another camera store in the city, and they had the AC8. They had one left, and I got it. And I was in the store, and I'm like, let me plug this into my camera before I buy it from you. If my camera explodes, that's on me. I'll just get the warranty or whatever. I'll find a way. If it doesn't explode, I'm buying this. And of course, it didn't explode. It totally worked.
All right.
So I can now plug the camera into the wall. Something you would think is so simple, like plug your camera into the wall so you can take video until the memory card is full without stopping indoors. You think that would be basic, like the camera would just fucking come with that. But no, pro shit just doesn't come with that. The same as the stupid wireless mics. It just doesn't. You have to...
Yep. Well, here, let's configure an E6 Countryman right now.
Something so simple. Just plugging it into the wall.
All right, so what are we plugging our fucking microphone into? There's a drop down with like 100 options.
Whoa.
Let's say sure. And all the other options you get change depending on what you pick here.
It's like filling out your taxes.
So I'm going to say sure. Oh, now I got to pick a model. Let's go with the ULXP.
Okay.
All right. Flexibility.
That's the one with the group scan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Flexibility. There are 3 codes here. No code for a classy springy boom, I for a very flexible boom, or X for a flexible boom and a springy ear section.
So
and then
wait, why do you
paragraphs of description of what each one of these
So
is.
why would you even need one or the other, right? You want this is the boom that goes from the ear to your face, right? You would want one that is where you can bend it and it stays in the shape that you bend it to.
So here's the explanation, just to give you an example. The classic E6 is a good choice when one person alone will wear the microphone. It holds its shape, just put it on and go. The I is highly flexible with a larger silicone rubber piece to use when multiple people share the mic and you have to reconfigure it on the fly for different people.
Oh, so the first one, you reshape it and it stays in that shape forever?
Basically.
The
so you
other
make it,
one, you can keep reshaping a bunch.
and then the flex is a compromise between those two. For like theater, you might have to fuck with it occasionally.
Okay, but why? I mean, sure, the first one, you can shape it once and leave it that shape forever.
You
but
can reshape
why
it,
not
but-
just get the reshaping one?
Because the
always?
reshaping one will possibly lose its shape over the course of doing something, and you have to refit it to your head every time you put it on.
Oh, it sort of loses its...
Yeah, the classic, like you do a thing,
The
and
other
then it's
one's
set.
really firm and stays that way forever.
Exactly. It stays that way for as long as you need it to.
But wait, but it can be reshaped. But if you reshape it too much, it's gonna break.
I don't know.
Yeah, why not get just that one always? Or
Yeah.
the compromise
So
one.
what if you own it for a venue where you have a different person speaking every night?
If that firm one can be reshaped a bunch without breaking, and it stays, it holds its shape once I shape it, why not use
It's
that
not
one?
easy to shape. I've watched videos on
It's
how
not
to
just
shape
like
it.
you don't just bend it and that's
No,
it. No,
you like flex and pull, and the idea is that you make it perfect for one person. Leave it that way forever.
All right.
That's what it's aimed for.
Because that matters that much, right? If it's a little bit out of place. Oh, no.
At these volumes, it kind of does.
Okay.
So pattern, omnidirectional or directional?
Well, it's always being worn on someone's head, pointing at their mouth. So why wouldn't you always want it to point straight at the mouth and that's it?
Well, usually, actually, you want omnidirectional for these things.
Okay, why is that?
Because it's usually not pointed at your mouth, it's just near your mouth. And omnidirectionals don't fuck with the sound. Directional microphones actually do fuck with your sound a little bit. And they also, if they get a little out of place, now you're fucked.
Why would you then ever want the directional one?
Let's say, so you and me on a stage, we probably want omnis because it's just us talking. What if we're on a stage singing with Britney Spears and there's tons of noise on stage? Then we need a directional.
Oh, so that the guitars jamming and such don't go into the microphones?
Exactly.
All right.
And then there's all these different types of directionality. We'll skip all that. We'll go the Omni. So sensitivity, 3 of the options are grayed out because of the options we chose earlier.
All right.
We can choose a W5, W6, or W7. Standard gain for general speaking, moderate gain for speaking and vocals, or powerful vocals.
Oh, so it's basically how much,
How loud, how
Yeah.
sensitive is this thing before
Right.
it just blows out?
Yeah.
So it appears that we need
We
the
would
W6.
get the more sensitive one, right? 'Cause
Not the
we're-
most sensitive one, though.
What's the most sensitive one? Is that
Standard.
that's the one where you whisper?
No, standard gain for general speaking.
Yeah.
The advice, and again, there's tons of advice here. It basically says standard spoken word W5, musical theater, or, and I'm stressing this, dynamic presenters W6. Considering I'm yelling into this microphone right now, I think we need W6s.
Maybe.
It says warns you W7.
But if we're too quiet, if we just sit and have a chat, maybe we won't get heard.
Well, it means we have to pump the gain up. It'll be a little noisier then. But that's probably better than blowing it out by being too loud for the thing when we start yelling in the middle of a panel.
That's true.
W7, basically, it's like only fucking use this if this is opera.
If you're yelling, then you'll maybe get
Not
it to
even
move.
yelling. It says opera singer or other extremely loud applications.
In other words, if
only.
we put those on and we start doing a podcast, we won't even move the needle.
Yup. All right, color: light beige, tan, cocoa, or black.
I guess that's because you care about hiding it, right? But we don't really care about hiding it so much. Like the fact that it's so small, it's already hidden enough for us.
Yep.
We're not like, in theater trying to really hide it when we're doing something really classical.
Exactly.
So we would just get, I guess, the white person color.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because they give you a lot of notes.
And it's like, you're going to see, even if I get white person color, it's like facial hairs and such.
Well, they warn you, like, for example, for placement against skin, when in doubt, choose the darker option. Lighter colors on camera look like scars from a distance.
Right. Plus, with, my beardedness and whatnot,
Yeah.
right?
Or we just go black, and then it's obvious it's there, but it's kind of techno future.
That's also, I like black too.
All right, cable diameter, 1
And
millimeter.
plus, the solid black is not, racially insensitive if anyone has to use it.
Albinos,
Sorry, albinos.
racist. There is a white option. Just
Yeah.
stark pearl white.
Way to go, Canyon. That's actually, no, that looks like a scar. Anyway, keep going.
Unless you're an albino.
Go, albinos, go.
Also, that one can be colored with felt tip pens.
Dude, somewhere there's the awesomest albino nerdy person
There has to be. Dude, if any albinos listen to Geek Nights, totally talk
And
to
they're
us.
doing all the cosplays that no one else can do, and everyone is mad jelly.
Name a character they can do other than Rei Ayanami.
Someone who's like really, really white.
Who?
Dylan Dow from Escaflowne is really white.
That kind of works.
Let's see.
All right, one more option.
Various ghosts.
Do we want the 1 millimeter aramid,
vampires of various sorts.
the 1 millimeter
Vampire Hunter D?
aramid reinforced cable, or the 2 millimeter Duramax?
We not the Duramax cable.
We
We are
definitely-
not trying to hide the cable. We are buying an
the
expensive.
Duramax cable provides 50 additional pounds of tensile strength.
Right. We are buying an expensive thing we do not want to break. We are not buying a thing we are trying to hide super
All right.
well.
Our SKU is an E6OW6T2SL.
How much is it?
$488.50.
So $1,000 for two.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that won't work with the Marantz.
Fuck.
So guys, don't go pro.
Couldn't we get something that it can work with that goes in between it and the Marantz?
A wireless system.
Right, the wireless outputs into the Marantz.
Yes, that's what we would do.
Right.
We would always use the wireless system, assuming that we broadcast on a legal channel. The laws
But
don't
I mean,
change.
couldn't we connect it to, like, you know, you have those little wireless backpack thingies that go on
Yeah.
your belt clip, and then couldn't we have a wire coming out of that?
Those things usually don't have a local output wire.
Couldn't we find one that does?
I don't know of one, to be honest.
Couldn't we make one?
Now,
and
there
sell
are
it?
devices I've found that I have not vetted that will give the proper voltage to this thing and convert to XLR. But I got to do a little bit of research on those.
You don't want to explode your $500 thing, even though I almost exploded my
No, because here's the other
$1,700
thing.
camera.
With professional equipment, if you go back to the store and you're like, yeah, it just stopped working, they can figure out exactly what you did to it.
That's exactly right.
That is not the case with consumer and prosumer stuff,
No.
except cell phones. They know if you dropped it in the toilet.
Yep.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.